What's estate planning? Do I need a will and a trust? How much does it cost? These aren't just random questions. They're the ones people are actively searching online. That means these questions reflect real concerns from real people right here in England and Wales. People who are trying to make sense of how to protect their families, their homes, and their future. Hi folks, and welcome back to Everything Estate Planning. I'm Jim from ELM Legal Services, and today we're cutting through the jargon to answer the questions that matter the most to you. Whether you're just getting started or looking to check if your will and LPAs still do what you think they'll do, stick around. You'll walk away with practical knowledge and a clearer path forward. The following 6 questions are taken from the top 10 most searched estate planning questions online. Now, this is based on search data from SEMrush, a leading tool that analyzes what people type into Google. So let's get into it. Let's start with the big one. What is estate planning? Well, estate planning is about making sure that everything you've worked hard for, your home, savings, personal belongings, and even your business, is passed on the way you want it to be when you die. But it goes further than that. A good estate plan also includes making decisions for what should happen if you lose the ability to manage your own affairs whilst you're still alive. Now, this could be due to illness, injury, or age-related decline. It's not just for the wealthy, and it's not just about writing a will. A complete estate plan includes several key components, each designed to handle a different aspect of your future planning. First, there's the will. This is the legal document that sets out who should receive your assets after you die. It makes sure your estate is passed on according to your wishes rather than the default rules set out by the UK law. Then we have lasting powers of attorney, often called LPAs. Now, these allow someone you trust to make decisions on your behalf if you lose mental capacity. One type covers financial matters like managing bank accounts or paying bills. Now, the other one covers health and care decisions, such as medical treatment or where you live. Guardianship arrangements are also a very important part of planning, if you have kids under 18. Now, these allow you to name the person or people you would want to raise your kids if you're no longer here to do so. Next, there are trusts. Now, a trust is a legal arrangement that helps you manage and protect your assets. It can be used to support vulnerable beneficiaries, control how and when your assets are passed on, or keep certain assets, like your home, within the family. And then there's inheritance tax planning. This involves structuring your estate in a way that may reduce the amount of tax payable when you go, helping to ensure that more of your estate goes to the people you care about. What documents are actually needed for estate planning? Not everyone needs every part of an estate plan. Trusts, inheritance tax planning, and guardianship arrangements are often situation specific. They depend on factors like your family structure, the size of your estate, or whether you have young kids. However, we strongly recommend that everyone in England and Wales has at least 3 key documents in place: a will and both types of lasting power of attorney, one for financial and one for health and care. Without a valid will, the law decides who inherits your estate. This could mean your assets go to people you wouldn't have chosen. Your partner may actually be left with nothing, and no legal guardian has been formally chosen for your children in a situation where you're no longer around to take care of them. The absence of a will can lead to disputes, delays, and distress for those left behind. Without a lasting power of attorney, no one, not even your spouse or partner, has the legal authority to manage your finances or make decisions about your healthcare if you lose capacity. In such cases, your loved ones would have to apply to the Court of Protection, which can be a very lengthy, expensive, and emotionally draining process. Having a will and both LPAs ensures that your wishes are followed and that the people you trust are legally able to act on your behalf. They are the foundation of a secure and effective estate plan. Why is estate planning important? Let me tell you a story about Linda and Alex. As an unmarried couple, they've been in a committed relationship for over 8 years. They shared a life and a home, and they raised Alex's young son from a previous relationship together. The child's biological mother wasn't involved in his life. Linda had raised him and in every meaningful sense was his real mum. But like many couples, they hadn't put any legal planning in place. No will, no lasting powers of attorney, and no guardianship arrangements. Then, unexpectedly, Alex became seriously ill. And because there was no lasting power of attorney, Linda couldn't access his bank accounts, make decisions about his treatment, or manage their shared financial responsibilities. When Alex sadly passed away, things took a devastating turn. Because there was no will and the house was legally owned solely by Alex, the property did not pass to Linda. Under intestacy rules, it went to his blood relatives, who chose to sell it. Linda, despite years of sharing that home and raising Alex's son, had no legal right to remain. She was forced to leave. And it didn't end there. Alex had never named a guardian for his son. Despite being the boy's main caregiver and the only mother he had truly known, Linda was not legally recognised as a parent. After Alex's death, she was forced to fight tirelessly through the courts to try and gain legal guardianship. It was a long, painful and uncertain process, made even harder by the grief that they were both facing. There were no guarantees, and for a time, Linda didn't know if she would be allowed to continue raising the child she loved as her own. All of this happened not because Alex didn't care, but because he didn't plan. It was heartbreaking and entirely avoidable. That's why estate planning matters. It protects your partner, your children, and everything you've worked for, so that your wishes are respected and your loved ones aren't left in a crisis when they're already grieving. When should I start estate planning? If you're asking this question, the answer is probably now. We've worked with couples in their 30s who simply wanted to make sure their children would be cared for if the worst happened, and we've supported retirees who wanted to protect the family home and make sure their savings ended up in the right hands. You don't have to be wealthy to make an estate plan. You just have to care about what happens to what you've built and the people you'll one day leave behind. If you own anything, if you love anyone, and if you want to avoid unnecessary stress for your family or intervention from the courts, then you need an estate plan. And the best time to start is now. We all know it's not pleasant to think about a time when you're no longer here. That's why most people put it off. It's one of those things we keep meaning to do tomorrow, until one day tomorrow doesn't come. And by that time, it's too late. Please do yourself and your loved ones a favour. Don't wait. I know this might sound like a sales pitch, and yes, I work in this field, so I do have some bias. But after 30 years in this industry, I can say with complete honesty, the most important thing is simply raising awareness about estate planning. I've seen far too many families suffer heartbreak and avoidable legal messes because no plan was in place. So please, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Read reviews and speak to a qualified professional, whether it's with us here at ELM or someone else you trust. Just get started. Your future self and your family will be glad you did. How do you set up an estate plan? As you've probably gathered by now, estate planning isn't a one-size-fits-all service. For some people, it's as simple as putting a will and lasting powers of attorney in place. For others, it might mean setting up a trust, choosing guardians for young kids, or putting a plan in place to reduce inheritance tax. The truth is, it all begins with a conversation about your family, your priorities, and what really matters to you. Here at ELM, we start by listening. Once we understand your situation, we build a plan that fits around you, not a template. Something that protects the people and the things you care about, both now and in the future. That's why we offer a free initial meeting with one of our estate planning specialists. It's actually a chance to ask questions, get honest, straightforward advice, and explore your options without pressure and with no obligation. How much does estate planning cost? Now, this is a big one, and the truth is it depends on a number of factors. Generally speaking, younger people between 18 and 40, who usually have less assets, need a will, LPAs, and guardianship arrangements, if they've got young kids. As people get older, their wealth often increases and their family dynamics are more likely to become a little bit more complex, creating further need for trusts and inheritance tax planning on top of the standard will and LPAs. Estate planning costs also vary depending on how you choose to approach it. DIY wills are the cheapest option, typically costing from £10 to £100, but they carry a high risk of mistakes which can cause confusion, delays, or even legal disputes after you're gone. They're generally only suitable for very simple situations. Solicitors usually charge between £200 and £2,000 for basic planning, with complex cases such as those involving trusts or inheritance tax planning costing considerably more. While their advice is legally robust, solicitors are often the most expensive option, and their approach can be more formal or less tailored to practical family needs. Specialist estate planning firms tend to fall between £100 and £1,000 for basic planning, depending on what's needed. Because they focus exclusively on estate planning, they often provide a more personal, flexible service with clear, fixed fees and practical guidance. Each option has its place, but for many people, especially those with children, property or more detailed concerns, a dedicated estate planning specialist often offers the best balance of cost, expertise and long-term protection. Of course, my bias leans towards the last option, as ELM is a dedicated estate planning specialist. I'd recommend you do your research, check reviews and prices, and go with the option you feel is right for you. That being said, I do strongly recommend you stay away from DIY wills, as they can cause more trouble than they're worth down the line. That wraps up our answers to 6 of the most searched estate planning questions online. We understand that it can feel overwhelming at first, all the documents, decisions and legal terms, but at its core, estate planning is about something simple: protecting the ones you love and making sure your wishes are followed when you're no longer able to speak for yourself. Whether your needs are straightforward or more complex, the most important step is to start the conversation. Talk to someone who can guide you through your options, explain what's relevant to your situation, and help you build a plan that gives you peace of mind. So, if this video sparked questions or even just that feeling of, I really should get around to this, take the next step. Book a chat with a professional you trust. It might be one of the most important conversations you'll ever have. If you'd like that to be with us, we'd be honoured to help. Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, please give that like button a friendly handshake, subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we upload a new episode. And if you know anyone who might find this information useful, please consider sharing it with them. The more we can raise awareness about the importance of estate planning, the more families we can help avoid unnecessary stress, uncertainty and heartache down the line. Remember, a little planning today can make a big difference tomorrow. So until then, stay safe, stay informed and stay tuned.